Hi, my name is Jim Teaford, and I'm going to demonstrate a technique that I use to paint multiple copies of watercolor note cards. Because my approach is based on whimsy, I call it my slapdash noodle doodle style, and I've found this slapdash noodle doodle painting process to be both fun and productive. I've laid out my materials where we can look at them. My palette is a small white plastic plate, and today I'm going to use a limited number of paint colors, which are raw sienna, burnt sienna, brown madder, Antwerp blue, and burnt umber. For this painting, which I call Monument Bend, I'm only going to use two brushes, a 1/2 inch ox hair flat brush and a number 8 flat tip shader brush. I use Strathmore 140 pound 5 inch by 6 7/8 inch watercolor cards, and I mount 2 cards at a time on a 12 inch by 16 inch white watercolor board. Both cards are mounted with their tops aimed towards the center of the board, so that when I hold the board, one card is right side up and one card is upside down. The card is secured on the bottom and the two sides, but I don't tape the top of the card. Suit yourself, but for folded watercolor cards, I like to leave the top untaped. For these Noodle Doodle note cards, I lightly sketch an outline with a pencil or make a bolder but still loose sketch with a black ink pen. At this point, the fun begins. For the Monument Bend cards, I lay in a wash of raw sienna on dry paper. I then rotate the board and do the same thing on the second card. Depending on my mood and the effect I want, I either let these washes dry or I rotate the board and continue with a wet in wet wash on the first card. For wet in wet, I continue rotating the board from one card to the next until I reach a point where I need to let the paint dry. For these Monument Bend cards, I lay in a broad wash of raw sienna with a 1/2 inch ox hair flat brush. I may then add a second soupy wash of burnt sienna to enrich the base color. While these washes are still wet to damp, I add a series of parallel vertical strokes with a smaller shader brush. For these strokes, I add a richer, more concentrated supply of paint on the brush, and I typically follow a sequence of burnt sienna in the middle, Antwerp blue on the right, and brown madder on the left, to simulate light on the left and shadows on the right. For me, this slapdash noodle doodle painting process has been both fun and productive. The noodle doodle portion comes from using my noggin to dream up a doodle, which I then paint. The slapdash portion comes from rapidly and loosely painting a couple of note cards at a time by rotating the mounting board. The noodle doodle and the slapdash components seem to complement each other. If the composition needs help, or if the paint combinations are subpar, you'll soon find out. When this happens, simply reload and start again. When things are really going well, I can rapidly unload and reload to maximize my creativity progress by continuing to paint rather than by spending my time preparing to paint. Besides being fun, I have found that the repetition of brushstroke techniques, paint combinations, and happy accidents that occur during the process of rapidly painting a series of similar paintings has been helpful. Given the differences in sketches and the various paint combinations used, and how the paints blend together on their own, there seems to be an almost endless variety of final products possible. Everything seems to be the same, but each card is different and unique. This variety of paintings around a central theme is one reason that I enjoy the process so much. It's hard to get bored. I enjoy the process when I am painting, and I generally have a sense of accomplishment when a session is over. Given the simplicity of the approach, I can preload several boards for a studio session, for a plein air outing, or for some other venue and setting. With just a few supplies, I can paint wherever I happen to find myself. When I have completed a painting and the paint is dry, I then use a black ink pen to doodle sketch whatever outlines, details, and curlicues that seem appropriate. After adding my little Neanderthal duck signature block, the note card is finished. I then carefully remove the tape, fold more cards, and reload the board for the next painting. If you want to paint a bunch of watercolor note cards to use as personal gifts, as Christmas cards, or to sell, you might want to give the slapdash Noodle approach a try.